that heavenly glory.
A little violent, maybe a lot violent, but as you think about the images you saw, you think about how that connects to opportunity. What comes to mind for you? What were some things that kind of came to mind as you saw the feats and some of the accomplishments that were highlighted when you think about opportunity, or even some of the words that were put on the screen?
It mainly made me think of all the preparation that went into to accomplish it.
Made me think, especially in some of those athletic and even some of the fighting things, how much you have to keep trying and enduring pain and pressing through to accomplish sometimes.
Good. The preparation, the pain that you have to go through. Anyone else?
Well, Patrice, for someone, this is Deborah, for someone to succeed and win in this example, there was somebody who lost on the other side. And sometimes we lose. But how we get back up and come at it again determines how we finish.
Good. Yeah. Anyone else? So as we think about the opportunity for this year, if you remember nothing else from this seminar tonight, I want you to hold it to your heart. It's going to take preparation, not how well you prepared this year, but how well you've been preparing all this time. The doors that God is going to open for you this year is based upon the years of preparation that you have been doing and the current preparation. You know, there's no such thing as not success. It takes months and years. Secondly, you guys said it, you know, it won't come without pain. It won't come without sacrifice. It won't come without endurance. It won't come without lots of patience. In other words, as those opportunities that you're believing God for, as trials come your way, as tests comes your way, don't let it sway you from those opportunities. As some days you feel, as you put in an 18-hour day, or you had to get up early just to do all the other things. You know, the other night, actually the other morning this week, my wife and she got up and it was around 4:30, and then she got me up. And I got up, and then she saw me turn, and then she said, "Are you up?" I said, "Yeah, I'm up." And she said, and we began to talk about our week and the season, and we began to talk about, you know, she began to talk about, you know, how her week has been, and balancing between work and the children. You know, 2 athletes in their school, and all of the things. And we're talking about how this season will pass. In 2 years, my oldest will be in college. And we just began to talk about, you know, the season and the trials of the season. So opportunities will not come without trials. And it's not trials to bring you down, but rather trials to help you be a bunker. And then, Deborah, you're right. I mean, there are moments where you are going to lose. There are moments where you are going to fall. But the key is perseverance. The key is perseverance. So as we think about opportunity this year, remember that God has been preparing you for it. Both your trials, your formal training, all of that has been preparing for this moment. This year will be a manifestation of all the things that God has prepared you for. As you face momentary setbacks this year, remember the key for you is going to be to get up. No matter how impossible it seems, no matter how difficult it seems, you need to get up and press, because without you persevering, you will not achieve that victory. And then lastly, as you think about the things that God has in store for you this year, you need to remember that it's not only about perseverance, persistence, about being prepared, but it is also about you believing that it is yours. So let's talk about how do we prepare ourselves for those opportunities for this year. So let's first define kingdom business. A kingdom company is a transformation company with measurements beyond the triple bottom line to include an eternal bottom line. People, planet, profit, eternity. So as you think about the opportunity this year to expand your business or to start a new one, we want you to think about your business in terms of how do you ensure that you have an impact in people? How do you ensure that those are your employees, those are your vendors, those are your customers, to make sure that you have a positive impact in all of those that God brings to you along your business? How do you ensure that you have an impact in the planet, that you make the community where you do business a better place, that opportunity that God has before you is an opportunity to improve things, to make things better, to make the community better, to make the body of Christ better, and not just for yourself, but rather is to improve things. The other one is that you're profitable, meaning that while you are impacting people positively, while you're improving the community, that you are being profitable, because you unless you are able to incur financial profit, whatever you're building will not be sustainable. And then lastly, that as you're profitable, that you're doing everything you're doing with eternity in mind. That you're asking the question, how does this opportunity help me to advance the will of God for my life? How does this tie into God's purpose and plan, into God's eternal will? Because remember this, all the businesses we build, all the money we make, all of the accomplishment we're able to achieve, all of that is temporal. The only thing that will remain are that which we do for eternity. So as we consider the opportunities before us, we must be able to see how those opportunities tie to God's eternal plan for our lives. Now, of course, the opportunities that we're talking about here is going to be helping us to be able to somehow create wealth, somehow generate a profit. Among everything we'll be able to do, we're going to generate a profit. So let's talk about what exactly is what is the purpose of wealth? And this we talked about last week, but let's kind of go through it again. We define wealth as generating more than you need to take care of your basic needs, right? And that's all margins. You know, when you are able to have an abundance beyond what you need to take care of your daily necessities, that is wealth. That's true both here in the U.S., true in Haiti, true in Kenya, true in Paris, France. Now, the question becomes, why, as God allows me to take advantage of the opportunity to create wealth, why does it allow me to do so? Well, the reason is so that I might have freedom or margins, right? God wants you and I to have freedom so that we might do what we really want to do. He doesn't want us to be constrained or bound by the limitations of lack. See, poverty or lack is bondage, because it limits us to doing the things that we really want to do. And so wealth is designed to help us unleash or realize the things that we really want to do. And so, again, we're talking about wealth just in terms of financial terms. Of course, we know that wealth has a broader definition, which also could be influence, right? Wealth could be in health. Wealth could be spiritual abundance. Wealth could be in other things. But here we're talking about wealth in purely financial terms. So the question becomes, as we acquire the wealth this year with the opportunities God has before us, as we able to have the freedom, why does God allow us to have the wealth for the freedom? And we learn that is so that we might worship and serve Him, so that we might be able to have the freedom to worship. So in a sense, should you decide to go through Biblical Entrepreneurship, the class is designed to help you to be a worshiper, to help you to, through your business, through your marketplace ministry, to be able to have a posture of worship, so that you might use your wealth or your abundance, the margin that God gives you, to worship and serve Him. That comes out of Exodus chapter 8:1 and chapter 9:1, when God told Moses to go and let his people go, and so that they might worship him. So we want you to worship God with your time, your talents, and your treasure. And then the question we asked was, how is wealth created? And the answer was, wealth is created through work. And then we said that should we then wait till we have wealth so that we might have the freedom to worship? And the answer was, of course, no. We determined that the word work in the Hebrew is the same word as abadah, which means to worship. So it all begins with worship, and it all ends with worship. So if we do not worship God without work, we're not going to worship God without wealth. So the opportunities that you are able to take advantage of this year, those opportunities must be tied in to you experiencing greater worship. There's nothing as bad as having opportunities in an environment that does not bring God glory, and it doesn't bring us pleasure. You know, I remember when I was a teenager and I used to work at a hospital, and there would be times where they give you opportunity to work on holidays where you would get pay and a half. You know, you get what's the term? Not a raise, but anyway, bonus pay. I think there's a term. Overtime. I think the term is overtime. You get overtime. And so as good as much as I look forward to the overtime because you got pay and a half, the problem is I didn't enjoy my job. I did not enjoy my work. So I did it purely for the money. I didn't do it out of any sense of fulfillment. I didn't do it out of any sense of joy. Now, it doesn't mean that every work that you do you will enjoy. There are times where there are seasons in your life where you would do things that would be toil, that would not be things that you naturally enjoy. But when it comes to business, when it comes to the businesses that God has placed before you, ideally, you want to start a business or expand your business along the line of your mission, along the line of your purpose, along the line of that which will bring you fulfillment, that which you enjoy doing, along the line of that which brings God glory. And that is an act of worship when you bring God's glory through what you do. And by the way, that is true whether you enjoy it or not, but it's just so much easier when it is in line with what we really enjoy or within what we sense a calling to do. So that's the purpose of wealth. Now, let's look at the stage of transition, wherever your business is right now. As you consider the opportunities this year, let's talk about, as a matter, again, of reviewing from last time, how do you use those opportunities to move your business from one stage to the other? If you're a startup, the opportunities that God has before you, hopefully will move you to break even, right? If you're broken even, those opportunities will move you to profitability. And if you're profitable, those opportunities will move you to sustainability. And if you're sustainable, those opportunities will move you to scalability, to expanding your business beyond the local area. And then if you're at scalability, those opportunities will hopefully position you for succession. Okay, and by the way, if you go through the Biblical Entrepreneurship training class that is coming up in the next several months, you'll be able to get more hands-on training on how to move your business throughout these various stages. If you're a startup, how to get to break even. If you break even, how to get to profitability. If you're profitable, how to get to sustainability. If you're sustainable, how to get to scalability, and then beyond that, succession. So you think about the opportunity before you today. The question is, where are you in the business cycle, and how will that opportunity move you to the next season of your business? Having said that, let's talk about what is identify opportunities. We define identify opportunity simply as recognizing when the timing of God meets preparation. All right. So you saw in the video earlier about the different ways, the different individuals that had to go through lots of preparation in order for them to compete at the level that they were competing, whether they were boxers, whether they were track stars, whether they were basketball players, right? So it's recognizing when the timing of God meets preparation. So as I began earlier, I said that this year is going to be God's timing for you. And you have been prepared for the doors that God is going to open for you. There are some doors that God will open for you this year that he's been preparing you for. The key for you is going to be recognized. All right? So it's also recognizing a favorable combination of circumstance. This year, 2016, there's a favorable combination of circumstance that's going to happen in your life. A kairos moment, a moment where everything lines up, where you would, by the grace of God, move into an open door that will change your life, that will change your business, that will usher you into a new dimension. But you got to know how to recognize it. And we're going to talk about it because it will not look the way that it will not be as obvious. It would seem difficult or tough. It will come in with some problems. And so you've got to be vigilant and you got to be discerning. It would seem at times as though everything around you is falling apart right in the midst of that moment. And you got to be able to see beyond the problem so that you might be able to seize the opportunity. So I know I played this video last week, but let me play it again because I think this is a great video that talks about the need of the importance of preparation. So I took it to a violinist,
the merely good and world class. And I asked them the same question. Ever since you first picked up the violin, how many hours of practice have you put into it? And a pattern emerged. Teacher material had practiced about 4,000 hours. The merely good had practiced about 8,000 hours, and the world class had practiced about 10,000 hours. In study after study with pianists, chess players, master criminals, the same pattern emerged. And so this became known as the 10,000-hour rule. So the conclusion was the following. As long as you're good enough, you get into the school, the number of deliberate hours of practice would be the only thing that would really differentiate you from your competitors. Now, Outliers is an extremely interesting book, but it doesn't really tell you how to become an outlier. So I've picked out 3 huge implications of the book about success that should help all of us. The first one, and my favorite, when you're on your first few hours of doing something, stop expecting to be good. I remember when I put out my first animated video, some people said, well, your animation sucks, your voiceover sucks, and I took that and I said, oh, okay, this is great. People are telling me what I need to improve on. But at the same time, I realized that that was completely natural and it didn't affect me at all. But again, what are people's thought process? I've put in a few hours into something, I'm going to be good. It's like, oh, it's really surprising that I'm not as good as an entire team of animators that have put in thousands and thousands of hours into their craft, work together, and that's literally all they do, and charge $5,000 for a single minute of animation, and my little first animation isn't as good as theirs. But that's literally how people think. Someone starts a business, and it's like, I've had losses in the first few months, which is completely normal for a business, but what is he going to say? Well, maybe I'm not so good at this business thing, and quit. You take someone to the tennis court, and they play tennis for the first time, they hit the ball 10 times, and it hits the net every single time. And what do they say? Well, maybe this isn't really my sport. And it's like, do you know how long it took me to play my first tennis game? It took me probably 10 hours of practice to play the most miserable tennis game ever played in the history of mankind, and it consisted of 3 hits of both players back and forth, and that was it. The second big implication is that talent is overrated. In the studies that they did, there were no naturals, meaning a person with only 4,000 hours of practice that was world-class. There were no grinds either, meaning a person with 10,000 hours of practice and being a teacher material. And I don't have to look at those studies to know that talent is overrated. Most of the time, what gets labeled as talent is hours and hours of practice that isn't seen. So how do I know this? Because I've been put on that pedestal before. When I was in college, I remember taking this slightly complicated statistics class, and people were really struggling in it, and the average would usually be a 50 on the exam, and I would get 100 basically every single time. Now, at the same time, all I did in those classes were sleep. That's it. I just went there and slept. While the people sitting next to me would sit there and take notes and try to work really hard. Now, when the exams would come back, they would look at me and they would say, "You're a genius. Okay, you're a god." Basically, I became this god. How do you do this? All you do is sleep, and look, you got 100, I got a 50. But again, what was the reality? And the reality isn't going to be disclosed because the person with success has way too many things that are cool going on in his life. So I had a great social circle. I was doing great things. I wasn't going to sit there and explain what happened. But what happened? Well, here's the actual truth. So when we go back, I would spend hours and hours every night doing every single problem. That's, by the way, why I was so tired the next day in class. What they did was they would take those notes, those mediocre notes they took in class, and maybe spend 30 minutes or an hour in their room. And that's really where the difference came from. Now, not only was it that, but it was accumulated advantage. Even if we had gone years back when we were in middle school, I would have been the one putting in the hours, they wouldn't. And over time, it's hundreds and thousands of hours of advantage. But again, in college, what is it? Some people are good at math, some people aren't good at math. The third big implication, as long as you're good enough, deliberate practice is what will set you apart. Now, let's break down that as long as you're good enough part. Think if you're 40 years old, have never kicked a ball in your life, and you say, well, I want to be a professional soccer player, that's not going to work. But I think most of us have realistic goals. I think most of us are good enough. But what we're lacking is the deliberate practice. Again, if I go back to the college example, what those people would do when they would come into class would be, oh, I studied all night last night. And again, what do they mean? Out of every hour, I spent 50 minutes eating, talking to my roommate, being on Facebook, and then 5 to 10 minutes actually doing the work. You have to put in that deliberate amount of hours of practice where you're solely focusing on getting better at your craft. And if you do that, that is what is going to set you apart.
Now, as you think about that particular video, the question, as you think about the opportunity that God has for you this year, the question is, what has He been preparing you for all these years? And the other question is, what is He preparing you for this year? Because remember, when the timing comes, it's not the time to prepare. It's all of the years of preparation, all the hours. There are things that some of you have been doing, and you've been saying, Lord, when will my season come? You know, when will I have accumulated advantage? You've watched people fly by you. You've had setbacks where certain things that you believe God for, that you were on track for whatever, you've had a setback. And you've wondered, has the Lord forgotten me? What I'm saying to you as we go through this lesson opportunity, this is your year. You must see that. This is the year. This is the year where all the setback will be set up for a major breakthrough. This is the year. that your accumulated advantage will work for your good. This is the year whereby he will position you where the early mornings, the late nights, where the balancing, where all of the things that you've been doing, what we call in biblical entrepreneurship, private victories, the wins that nobody saw when you were the first to arrive, the last to leave, all of the accumulated advantage would work together for your good. So let's look, and I'm going to open up for discussion in a few minutes, but let's talk about chasing versus preparing, because part of this is that if we're going to take advantage of the opportunity that God has before us, we got to stop being chasers. And we've got to know when we are being a chaser versus a preparer. Because though this is your year and your season, if you keep chasing, you're going to run past it. You won't see it. Or you're going to jump on things that you think they're the one and they're not. They're going to be distraction. So when you're experiencing anxiety, that means you're chasing. Now, there's a level of anxiety that is good that comes just from being challenged or pressing at a high level of peak performance. But nervous anxiety is not helping. That means that you're stepping ahead of God. You're being enticed when something is enticing you. You're doing it out of a sense of pride. You're doing it to fill the lust of the flesh. You're doing it because you're greed. That's chasing. You're being lured. Chasing is complicated and confusion. If the thing is complicated, confusing, that means that you're chasing. You don't have the skills, gifts, and ability. You're forcing it. It's not a fit. It's not a fit. You don't feel that natural sense. You're not operating your giftedness. It's not aligned with your calling or company mission. You're mission drifting. So if these things are true for you, then you're chasing. So the key then for you to take advantage of this opportunity this year to grow your business, start this new one, is don't be a chaser. Don't be a chaser. And this will, now if you're used to chasing, then you're used to operating in adrenaline. And so which means that it's going to take a while for you to readjust your system so that you don't see, you don't feel like God is only there when things are complex or things are, busy. It's kind of like when you're used to noise, quietness causes you to be concerned because you're used to noise. And lastly, when you lack peace. If you don't have peace about it, then don't pursue it. So what does it mean to prepare? And then it's high cost, low return. I've seen so many entrepreneurs go after high cost, low return stuff because they're chasing. They're anxious. They want it bad. They want it yesterday versus trusting the Lord. When you're preparing, it causes growth. It brings contentment. It's orderly. You have most of the skills, gifts, and abilities. It enhances your calling or company mission. There's internal peace. Low cost, high return. Before I go to the next, I want to hear your thoughts. Any reflections so far, whether the video or whether this contrast chart as you think about the opportunities that are before you this year. Any thoughts or reflections?
Well, I think that this is really timely, and I really, it's interesting, the timing of it, and it's just really profound as we think about like lately I've been asking the Lord, let me be faithful and joyful about stewarding what is in my lap right now to steward, even if I don't understand the process, or I don't understand why here, why, I have all these big dreams in my heart, like what is now, and just really that heart of, Lord, I'm working for you, not anybody else. You're my source, and help me steward with joy the things that I'm stewarding, even on the hard days, or when the days when it doesn't make sense or it gets frustrating, just continually keeping that mindset.
Amen. Listen, when you were talking, what came to my spirit was those, as you stewarding the things that are before you without knowing where it's leading you, and doing as unto the Lord, that God is preparing you for that season. It's amazing, but I came up in a 25,000 member church. And could you mute your phone, please? Whoever just unmuted their phone, this background noise. I remember those days, Elizabeth, where it was hard. As I was coming up the ranks, and I was trying to balance between serving my local church and fulfilling what I felt God had called me to do. I remember those moments where I was serving faithfully, and I wasn't getting recognized, or I was being overlooked, or I was, left to do the hard stuff. And there are days today where I'll tell my wife, I said, baby, as much as those days were hard, those days prepared me for these days. It was doing something in me. I didn't know what it was then, but now I can literally imagine the very moment I learned some of the things that I'm doing now. In other words, it's weird, because there are moments where I'm going through something that those lessons, those years, where God is saying, Patrice, your ability to handle this, I put it in you during that moment, that painful moment. Remember that moment, Patrice? Remember when it was hard? Remember when it was difficult? Remember when you was wondering why are you doing all this? Remember when you were wondering why, Lord, why do I got to do it over again? Lord, why do I have to report to this leader? Lord, why do you want me here at this church when they don't appreciate me? He said, I was putting this in you. I was planting the seed in you. And that now you're able to walk with peace in the midst of this because of what I did, because of how I prepared you. And it's one of those things, as you were talking, that just came to mind, and I began to see that those moments, Elizabeth, those moments, it's, whether it's the bathroom with the kids, those moments of pressure, that God is doing something in you so that when that season comes, your mind will come back to now, and you will say, my God, you will thank God you stayed faithful. Sometimes I say, God, thank you I didn't jump ship. God, thank you that I stayed the course. God, and I know it wasn't I that did it. It was him, because I wanted to quit so bad.
Amen.
And I thank God for his mercies that he kept me.
Amen.
Anyone else?
This is Randy. I think that the thing that I see in this is that I see inside of me, sometimes it's not that I'm doing anything differently, but there's an internal attitude where I'm anxious and I'm striving, and I need to pull back. I need to say, Lord, I'm doing this because I'm being obedient, and you're going to work it out. And then I can be much more at peace and walk in the spirit in the midst of it. And it's not doing anything different, but it's a different attitude that moves from chasing to preparing.
Well said, well articulated. It's that internal attitude adjustment. And what I love what you said, Randy, is that you know when it's happening on the inside of you. You can feel it. It's intangible, but you can feel it. You can get that. You can feel that sense of being anchored. And what a pleasure that is. Now, so let's talk about how do we identify opportunities. You know, how do we, like Joseph, allow the trial, the test, allow the pit, the prison, and the slavery to prepare us? You know, how do we allow that thing on the inside to mature, so that the alignment takes place, that internal attitude adjustment, so that we might be able to be prepared for that opportunity. The first thing is opportunity comes in the midst of problems. So as you consider the opportunities for you to expand your business this year, the question is this: what problems are you going to be able to solve? You know, Randy talked about helping this particular company expand their warehouse or their store. Randy, there's a problem that this company has that Randy is solving. So because opportunities are found, business opportunities are found in the midst of market needs. What market needs, what problems do people have, or does a particular customer group have, that you are uniquely positioned to solve? Because opportunity are found in the midst of problems. In other words, don't chase the gold, but chase the problem that produces the gold. Because whenever you chase the gold, it misleads you. But when you chase the problem, you always find the gold in the end. What market problems? And the bigger the problem, if you can help folks address big problems in a sustainable way, doors will open for you. And the second thing is, do you have the abilities? So as you think about how God has endowed you, do you have the abilities? And this is where preparation comes in, because when you chase the opportunity, you often find getting in front of the door and you're not prepared because you don't have the ability and you're overwhelmed. You know, one of the things, again, going back to, there's some things that I'm able to do, that there's some doors that open for me today that I wanted them open 5-10 years ago, but I wasn't ready. But I thought I was. See, I thought I had the ability. And now I thank God it wasn't open, because I would have shipwrecked. You see, because oftentimes we don't know how unprepared we are, and God preserves us by keeping certain things away from us. The next thing is passion. Is this something that you enjoy doing something about? In other words, would you do it for free? That is a test of passion. Not that you're going to do it for free, but would you? Because I'm a prime example of someone I'm at the mercy of my schedule. And I often say, be careful what you pray for, because you may just get it. I'm living my dream. I am doing exactly what I believe God for, so no one to blame but me. And oftentimes I say, thank God I'm passionate about this. You know, I'm in my office most mornings, 5:30, 6 o'clock. You know, and most mornings I have a coaching session at 4:30. I pull in, 12-hour days. Sometimes I go 4:30 to 6, 7. And I said, oh, my God, what if I wasn't passionate about this? I'll get off the plane on the red eye and go all the way until 8 o'clock at night. What if I wasn't passionate about this? See, because the opportunity before you may take you into a place that you don't have the heart for. The worst thing for you is not that you don't get an opportunity. The worst thing is that you get the wrong opportunity. And doors start opening for you in a direction that you like passion. And you find yourself in a situation where you don't enjoy what you're doing. So it's got to be, for it to be that opportunity, it's got to be an area of passion. The next thing is, see, the way we solve market problems with products and services, the question is, what products and service will you deliver to meet the needs that you've identified? What product and service, and what product and service will you use to meet the needs that you've identified? Because there's going to be a business opportunity. Somebody got to buy something from you. What are you selling, in other words? What are you selling? Have you quantified it? When somebody says, I'm ready for it, what is that you're selling? What is that service or that product that you're using to meet the need? The next thing is, have you figured out how to monetize it? Have you figured out how to monetize it? Randy and Elizabeth can relate to this. We've been looking at we've been adjusting our model for biblical entrepreneurship and looking at B2B, or how to sell to organizations. And we've been trying to figure out the best way to monetize it. And it sounds easy, right? It sounds easy. Oh, they just put a price on it. But to properly monetize something, you've got to think holistic. You've got to think about every dimension of the particular product and service and every value and benefit that thing brings. So in other words, to monetize something is, how do you create a system that allows people to pay you to do it over and over again in a way that gives you the margins you need to create wealth? That's monetization. Because if you can't monetize it, it's a hobby. If you can't monetize a hobby, maybe a good hobby, but it's not a business. And there's nothing wrong with hobbies. And then the next thing is, what's your opportunity cost? You see, as you consider the opportunity before you, one of the things that entrepreneurs don't realize is that some of your biggest costs of doing business is not your startup cost. It's not your operating cost. It's not even your cost of goods. But some of your biggest costs is what you have to leave behind to pursue that opportunity. In other words, you're going after something that will give you less yield than what you're currently doing or what you could be doing. For instance, the seminar today was it was advertised as free. In other words, you didn't pay any money to be a part of the seminar. But was it really free? Because some of you could have been doing something right now. As a matter of fact, some of you left your job early to be a part of the seminar. Some of you could be with your families right now, but you're here on the seminar. Some of you, could be seeing a client right now, but you're in the seminar. In other words, whatever you had to forsake to be part of the seminar, that was your price for the seminar. And so the question you got to ask at the end of the seminar is, was the seminar worth what I had to give up? Was it worth, if you're getting paid $100 an hour, was it worth the $100 that I had to give up to be a part of the seminar? Was it worth, the time I didn't spend with my family? Was it worth the fact that I had to leave my job early? That's your opportunity cost. That is the hidden cost. So as you consider the opportunity that God had before you, as you think about whether this is the Lord or not, you think about, the question is, what must you give up to pursue it? And is it worth it? Jesus said to this woman, he's talking about opportunity cost. He said, if you want to follow me, meaning Jesus, this is Luke 14, you have to give up your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, and by the way, even your own life. He said, no, and then he says, then you got to carry your own cross. He says you got to give up your mother, your father, opportunity cost, right? Your brother, opportunity cost. Your own life, opportunity cost. So you got to give those up. And by the way, you've got to pay. You got to pay your way. You got to carry your own cross. So he said, it's not just the cost of walking with me, but you got to give up some things. And you got to determine whether or not I'm worth the stuff you're giving up. Because that's the true price you got to pay. So you think about your opportunities. You see, because what entrepreneurs don't realize is when you don't think about opportunity costs, you try to do everything. You try to do it all. And you end up not thriving at anything. Learn the power of no. Learn the power of focus. I often tell people that since 1997, I've been known for one single thing, biblical entrepreneurship and coaching. That I've been known for, nothing else. And to do that, I've had to say no to a lot of things. You see, sometimes success is just a matter of focus. Because if you pick one thing, the right thing, and you start long enough, you're going to be successful. What is that opportunity for you this year? And what must you give up to pursue it? Because your lack of thriving may not be because you're not doing the right thing. Your lack of thriving because you're doing too many things. And you've got to focus. The next thing is vision. The ability to see beyond the problem. In other words, what do you see if you're able to realize this opportunity? What are the possibilities? What do you see? Can you see beyond your circumstance? Can you see beyond your current situation? Can you see a preferred future? Can you see possibilities beyond your wildest dream? That is vision. And this opportunity must be able to take you to a place of vision. So, as we identify opportunity to grow or start a business in this year, first, marketing. What problems do you see? What problems are you uniquely equipped to solve? Do you have the ability? Have you been prepared for it? Do you have the passion? Would you enjoy it? What are you selling? What product and service are you bringing to the marketplace? Are you bringing to the situation? What's the solution you bring to the table? How do you monetize it? How are you going to get paid doing it? What must you give up to do it? And if you do it, what are the possibilities that will create in your life? Before I go to the next thing, any questions or comments or reflection here? Let me hear your thoughts. You guys sound so excited.
The thing that occurs to me is really to keep early on, you get that vision of where it is you want to go. And the key seems to be to keep the vision before your face and just take the next step, which is around the circle. And there's really only two things that I think that you ever really have clearly. What is the vision? Where are you going? And what are you supposed to do next? What am I supposed to do right now? And if you can stay focused on those things, then you can stay focused. And if you can't, then you'll tend to get divided. So I think that's really good.
Amen. Amen. Anyone else? All right. So let's look at the key facts about opportunities. Now, the first key facts about opportunity is they're orchestrated by God. Or as you think about the opportunities for you to expand your business or start a new one this year, God will orchestrate them. I was talking to another coach, actually, today, another coach that I've been helping. He's been inspired by KBC. He's not a KBC coach, but he's just been inspired by us, and I've been kind of mentoring him on the side as he's been calling me, and he's been able to get 2 clients that we also work with, that large companies, that he's been able to get some business from them, and I've been kind of coaching through that process. So in a sense, he's almost co-coaching with me and some of the clients, but he's not with us, and I've just been serving him. And today, during one of our sessions where I'm just giving him some advice and so forth, he said, Patrice, tell me, how do I bring biblical entrepreneurship into Omaha, Nebraska? God orchestrated that. And I wasn't serving him for that. The Lord just touched his heart and said, hey, he said, man, I'm really inspired by what you guys are doing with BE. I like to see how I can bring it here. And so now he might, he's going to look at how to sponsor be into Nebraska. God orchestrated opportunity. If you just stay faithful to what God called you to do, the Lord will open the doors for you. The next thing is, not only does God orchestrate opportunity, but they disguise as problems. They come disguised as problems. So in other words, opportunities, they don't always look, glitter and gold, right? They may not seem like, the thing at first. So you got to be able to see through it. The next thing is, not only opportunities where God knows disguise as problem, but also they come to those who are most prepared, and they don't last always. So they come to those who are most prepared. So that's why you got to focus on being prepared, because when the door opens, you got to be able to jump in it, and then they don't last always. Meaning that it doesn't mean that you should be anxious about it, but it means you should be urgent about it, right? And there's a difference. You shouldn't be anxious, but rather urgent, because the door will shut if you don't move in a timely manner. This is your season. God has orchestrated. It's your season. There are issues, problems that customers and others will have that you will be in a position to solve. This is your season. You've been prepared for it. This is your season. Move urgently. Don't be anxious. Now, let's talk about
Did you know one entrepreneur can make a difference in his community while impacting the global marketplace for Christ?
Let's talk about Biblical Entrepreneurship class. One of the hope as we did this seminar is to be able to introduce you to this training to help prepare you for the opportunities that God has before you. So if you've not taken Biblical Entrepreneurship, we're going to talk to you about the opportunity to take it. We're going to talk about when the class is and how you can take advantage of it. First, let's look at what the class is all about, so that way you're able to understand exactly what this class is and how we can help you prepare for the opportunity for you.
One entrepreneur can make a difference in his community while impacting the global marketplace for Christ. Meet Joe, a successful entrepreneur who's active in his local church and has always desired to merge his ministry and business. One Sunday, Joe is introduced to the Nehemiah Project's Biblical Entrepreneurship course, a curriculum that helps Christian entrepreneurs learn how to enhance their businesses while advancing the gospel. Through the BE class, Joe learns that it is God's business and he is just a steward. BE teaches Joe to allow the Holy Spirit to guide his decisions, serve his customers, care for his employees and his community based on biblical principles. Now meet Jean-Paul. Joe meets Jean-Paul on a mission trip to Haiti and decides to support him. Joe helps bring BE to Haiti for Jean-Paul and others like him. Jean-Paul ultimately starts up his own roasted coffee business, and through it, the gospel is shared, and many Haitians are taught how to do business God's way. Nehemiah Project taught Joe and Jean-Paul about the power of business, and biblical entrepreneurship became the tool that helped them teach others to fish for themselves. Want to join Joe, Jean-Paul, and thousands of biblical entrepreneurs around the world who are transforming their communities and the global marketplace? Sign up for a class, bring biblical entrepreneurship to your community, or make a kingdom investment. For more information, visit nehemiahproject.org.
Well, we would be delighted to serve you and help you, prepare you for the opportunity that God has for you this year through the class. And so let's talk about that opportunity.
One entrepreneur can make...
All right. So the Biblical Entrepreneurship Training Program is a comprehensive business discipleship course that provides a strong mix of core business concepts with biblical principles. We have B1, B2, and B3. When you complete the course, you complete it with a kingdom business plan. Actually, coming up sometimes, I believe, early March or late this month, we're going to have a business plan competition here in Portland, Oregon, for those who are about to complete the B3 class. I encourage you to be a part, come and watch that, so that you can kind of see the outcome that you would experience as you go through BE. I mean, it's life-changing. You come out with a blueprint of God's plan for your business, a written, articulated kingdom impact, how you're going to grow your company, and also you come out with a clear articulation of your faith and your testimony and how the Lord has worked in your life. It's a real neat experience. So B1 is 16 hours, B2 is 16 hours, and B3 is 16 hours plus an additional 16 hours of group coaching. And so the training is for those who are startups, have existing businesses, or what we call individuals in discovery. Essentially what that means is that you don't have to have a business in order to experience biblical entrepreneurship and really get a lot out of it. You can be in discovery, still kind of considering what you feel that God has called you to do. That is okay. You can have an existing business. We have entrepreneurs take BE who have businesses as large as $20 million a year in revenue. So you don't have to be somebody who have a, just because your business is large doesn't mean that biblical entrepreneur cannot help you. And then if we have startups, about 40% of those who take BE are startups. They haven't started yet or just gotten started. And as they go through principles, practices, planning, you conclude with a business plan competition which you will experience one. Elizabeth, what's the date for the Portland Business Plan Competition coming up? Is Elizabeth with us? All right. Well, when she comes up, we'll. So when you conclude that, you be a part of the competition. I'll look for that date afterwards and share with you. So
Sorry about that. Patrice, my kids needed something really quick. What was that? And I can get it for you.
Yeah, when is the business plan competition in
February?
Portland?
It's February 29th.
February 29th. That's a Monday, February 29th, at our office.
Lake Oswego. I'll confirm the time, but it's on the 29th.
Okay. So we'll get you the information for that. We encourage you to come so you can see graduates who are completing the Biblical Entrepreneurship, and you can see them present their plans, and you can get a taste of what it's all about. We provide a 100% money-back guarantee if you take the training and you do not get whatever it is that you were believing God for. If it doesn't meet your need, all you got to do is write us a letter requesting that we give you money back, and you'll get it, no questions asked. And you can keep the book. So at minimum, you have a free book. So there's no risk on your part. If you win the competition of your class, you will then get a chance to present your plan at your city level or the state level, and eventually the country level. And if you win that, you'll represent your country at our international business plan competition. And this is designed to allow you to get a chance to defend what God has called you to do, and to strengthen your ability to present it, and to have some fun competition with other kingdom entrepreneurs from around the world. Last year, the winner for the international competition was Madagascar. God willing, this year will be the United States, and you can be a part of helping make that happen. And so also, we don't just do training, we also provide various support services. We have with Kingdom Business Coaching, we provide coaching. We also we encourage you to get mentors. We work with groups like the Christian Chamber of Commerce, where you can be a part of small groups, FCCI, other networking groups. We have community events. Next Thursday, there'll be an alumni fellowship for Portland, for the Portland area. Over Scotland is his home. And so we have various community activities. And we're also working on setting up a financing mechanism where we'll be able to help you raise capital for your business. So again, we go beyond training to provide support and as well as financing. Now, many people ask the question, do Americans support Christian businesses and brands? Here's what David Kinnaman found. There appears to be a significant opportunity for enterprises that understand and value faith to express their faith consciousness through their business practices, not simply as a marketing gimmick, but as an authentic part of their content, their mix of product and services, their branding, and their corporate culture. So in other words, if you are authentic, if you're building a kingdom company for real, and not just using Jesus or using a fish tag as a way to get more customers, if you're the real deal, there's significant opportunity for you to grow your enterprise. And so the study was done where they found that 51% to 58% of people, saw no difference. They didn't care whether or not you were intentional about your business, about the Lord, or about your faith in business. But they found that 37% of the people, were more likely to do business with you. So not only is this a good way to be discipled in the Lord, to improve your business, but also if you're able to do it well, it's also a wonderful way to build our customer loyalty. Well, so we encourage you then to this date. This is not the right day. We want you to be a part of not this class here. Brian, could you give the actual the class date that we want them to remember, just to focus on?
Yeah, I posted it in the chat, but it's February 25th, 26th, and 27th. So that's okay. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday evening, and then Saturday all day.
Awesome. Where is it?
It's at Village Baptist Church, the same place we had our initial seminar.
Awesome. Say that date again, please, Brian. February.
It's February 25th, 26th, 27th. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday and Friday evening, and then all day Saturday at Village